Welcome to another edition of Mailbag. Remember, these are comments and questions that you guys leave on my channel that I do my humble best to try and answer, offer comment, or just throw out to the wider community for somebody out there to help you out. As with a number of recent mailbags, I'm doing one header and then the mailbags will follow. So if you sort of read the next mailbag and it looks the same as this, that's the reason why. But before we get going, we must address the normal parish notices, which are, if you haven't subscribed to the channel and you like videos about this sort of stuff, this sort of stuff, and this sort of stuff, you need to hit the subscribe icon. Save time, hit the bell icon as well. You'll be notified when videos hit the channel. If you like the contents of this video, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps with the YouTube algorithm. And also, I highly encourage you to leave comments down below. I do read them. I respond to every single comment. And sometimes I even use those comments as subject of videos that I will film in the future. And finally, down there is the TMTG community. For less than the price of a cup of coffee, which I think is a real bargain, you can support the production of videos on the channel. Down there are also the Instagram and Facebook tags where other stuff related to the channel will appear. But now, back to the video. It's very thirsty work doing mailbags. Okay, next one comes from Tim. And again, I don't have what video he's actually responding to. I've done really quite badly on videos here. In terms of writing down what videos they were. Anyway, Tim writes, Fountain of Knowledge here. Great video. My SY85 has a red light in its disk drive and I shall now try and find a blank disk to check if it still works. Many thanks for the advice. Can I swap out the SD card reader if it's... Can I swap it out for an SD card reader if it's Banjaxed? And can I update the OS from 1.0 to 1.36? Well, first of all, thank you for the compliment, but I just love this equipment and share what I find, so hopefully in an informative way. But you've raised two points, and I'll answer them in the same order in which you've raised them. So the red light on the disk drive indicates power. However, so when you've got power, that's great. But if you have a really high-pitched motor sound, that could indicate that the original drive, the belt is slipping or has perished, and that was exactly what I had on my SY85 when I purchased it as working. It wasn't because it wouldn't load a disc. I know in the unit I bought, as soon as I touched the belt, it literally disintegrated on me. So as soon as I went in there, saw the belt, I touched it with a screwdriver to see if it was had any play in it, and it didn't have any play in it at all. It just literally fell apart. But if you can format a disk on your disk drive and then you can read it back, the disk drive is working fine. Okay, so that's kind of the key point here. Of course, you can swap the drive out for a USB card reader, and many that subscribe to the channel have done exactly that. They've told me that. The only thing I would say about doing this is the connection on the SY85 is not a standard connection. The connection on the SY85 is a ZIF connector, not a ribbon connector. So unless you are handy with a soldering iron, what I would do is when you're buying your USB connection or USB device to plug into that slot, make sure you get the vendor to do the modification for you. Because you need to basically change some pins around, and you also need to put some resistors in it, if my memory serves me on this. And again, I did all this work about a year ago, so I'd have to go back to my notes exactly what I did. The second area is that some USB drives come with a number that relates to the disk and the folder on the USB drive, but has no other information. So what I've seen is the really cheap USB drives, all they have is two digits, so you can only have 99 folders on the drive. But it doesn't tell you what the folder name is. It just says folder 1, folder 2, folder 3, folder 4. So you have to kind of keep a log of what's in each folder, because it doesn't tell you, and it also doesn't tell you what's on the disk. So you need to kind of have a Word document or an Excel spreadsheet or something where you update all the files that you save to each one of those partitions on your USB dongle. It kind of it's just a little bit more admin you have to do. So that's the first thing. If you can buy one of the more expensive drives, and they're not vastly more expensive, but they are more expensive, they will actually tell you what the folder name is. So you know, if you have something like Akai drum samples or 808 samples or something like that, it will actually come up in the little screen on the device, and that would probably be easier to navigate than the two numeric numbers. And I kind of think that the ones that will display the name of the folder will actually allow you to have more than 100 folders on your USB stick. And if you have a decent sized USB stick, you know, 100 folders is having more than 100 folders is quite capable. So that's the other side of that. Personally, you know, that's kind of one of the reasons why I haven't gone down this route, if I'm honest, because I kind of like to flip through the discs in the box, which is up there just out of shot. There's a whole raft of disc boxes up there that have all my discs for various devices: T1, Ensoniq, Roland, D20, Akai. They're all up in these boxes up above me. So I kind of like to flip through them until I find the disc that says 808 samples, and I can just put it in the machine, and that works really well for me. The other thing is you need to convert these discs into a format that you can read with the USB drive. Now the way it kind of works is it works by writing a format, and the device effectively just turns each one of those folders into a drive on the disc. So there's one file that gets written, and that is the drive. So the USB device doesn't really care, but you've got to get your disc onto that USB device. And one of the things I found about this is that you need a couple of programs to make that work, and you probably will end up having to get yourself an XP machine, because a lot of these programs don't work post Windows 7, and at Windows 7 you still have to start disabling things on the machine you're using to make it work, and some of them also need an internal hard drive, not a USB floppy drive, because that works in a different way. There's a whole raft of potential issues here. And the last part that you've asked is about the upgrading the firmware from 1.0 to 1.36. Now, funny enough, Brian for Sector 101 Brian for Sector 101 sells the memory for the SY85 as well. Asked me what version I had installed on the SY85, and unfortunately I'm at 1.10. But the way to do it is effectively you either buy a new EEPROM from someone selling them on the internet, and I haven't seen SY85 EEPROMs floating around the internet, so or you basically buy yourself an EEPROM reader, get hold of the files for the 1.36 firmware and burn them yourself. And that's something I want to do. I want to do that because somebody sent me some firmware or something else, and it's a long time since I've done EEPROM burning, so it's something I need to go back and have a look at. But that's where we are. Anyway, I hope that has answered your question.